Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with Crypto Mom 2 Talk Show and also the Blockchain Legal Institute Talk Show. I want to welcome everyone today for hopping on. Definitely remind you to like and subscribe because there are some really incredible people that we are interviewing, and I want to make sure you always stay in the know. So today is a member Byte talk show. So what that means is that Blockchain Legal Institute has many members. We are growing, and we are very excited to have our members who are on the talk show today, as well as, in the future. So that way you get to know both the resources as well as the services and the tools that you can use within the blockchain decentralized community. I will always say, as every, being a lawyer, you have to say the disclaimers. Our talk shows are not legal advice, not financial advice, not investment advice. However, I do know that with the members who are within the Blockchain Legal Institute, they are trusted companies. And so that is why we are doing the member bites. So today I have James Gray on. He actually has been, I've known him for a while, and he's participated in a number of the Blockchain Legal Institute's events and conversations. And we have networked in a lot of different professional groups. And he is definitely a global traveler. It's been a little bit of a calendar hop and skip to getting us here today. But James, how are you
Nice.
doing today?
I'm great, thank you, Jackie. Yeah, it's been a little bit to get this finally locked down, but here we are doing it.
Here we are doing it, and I truly appreciate you were one of the first supporters of Blockchain Legal Institute, and so we're very grateful and look forward to a lot of the future growth with you. I'm all about stories. Why don't you share a little bit about your background, how you came to be where you are, and the company that we're going to be talking about today. In fact, feel free to share screen anytime. So that way,
Okay.
those that are both listening on the audio, I invite you to come over to the YouTube, but also those on the YouTube can also see the company and the platform that we're going to kind of take a tour of today.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on today and being able to talk about what's going on with blockchain and cryptocurrency as far as in my neck of the woods, which you seem to cover everything. So I'll just cover my little niche part of the world. James Gray, thank you for having me. I actually started my blockchain crypto journey, Web3, whatever you want to call it, probably around 2018. At that time, I was working in a corporate lighting company. I was doing estimating for a lighting company, and someone just happened to walk by and was talking to another colleague near my desk about Bitcoin. And I had never heard about cryptocurrency. I didn't know what Bitcoin was and none of it. And I want to say around then it was a little under 3,000 a coin. I want to say it was around 2,000 a coin. And so I immediately hopped on Robinhood and from what they were talking about, got as much as I could at that price. And I remember shortly after that, within maybe 6 months, it was getting close to Christmas time and it pumped before Christmas and I got excited. It sold and was very happy because I was able to give a really good Christmas to my family that year. Now, in hindsight, looking back when it's at 50,000 a coin, I probably should have held on to it a little bit longer, but that is how cryptocurrency goes, the ups and downs and ebbs and flows. But I was very excited about it then, just knowing a little bit about it. And that kind of got me into what is blockchain, what is cryptocurrency, how does this work, and the science behind it. I'm not a IT tech person at heart. So it takes me a little bit more research probably than most to kind of understand a concept, but that really got me intrigued in it. And fast forward a few years later, I joined a company called Power Metacore, who focuses on the Filecoin blockchain. Nowadays, there are so many blockchains, it's hard to keep up with all of them, but we focus on the Filecoin blockchain. And that allows us to provide our services that we provide in the form of data storage, blockchain data storage, competing against cloud services, traditional cloud services like Google and AWS, uh, and also cryptocurrency mining. Uh, so what we've been able to establish in a very short time, just around a year, a little over a year, is set ourselves up into being one of the world's largest data storage providers on the blockchain. Using the Filecoin protocols, the base level, that layer one level of Filecoin is really outstanding compared to most other data storage blockchains. And that really got us into what we're doing now. And the cryptocurrency side of it, the mining side of it, mining as a service, what we've tried to do is position ourselves in a place and provide products for our customers at every level, absolutely at every level. Meaning if you've got $10 to put into cryptocurrency and you want to get involved, we have products for you for that purpose. Now, if you're an institutional investor or a large kind of accredited investor and you've got 7 or 8 figures and you want to move into it, we've got products for that as well. So really trying to open up the door for cryptocurrency and Web3 blockchain products to bring it to more of the masses that still don't understand or know what it is or aren't involved in it currently. Our biggest product lines are definitely the data storage. We are, I believe, we're the number one storage provider on the Filecoin network right now,
Wow.
out of all their storage providers. If we're not one, we might have slipped down to two, but I know we were at one point recently. I haven't checked in the last couple of months, but and we've got just under 40 PIDs of data stored. We've got 5 IDCs throughout the world in different countries, including the United States. And this allows us to store a total capacity of up to 1,600 PIDs of data, which is now we're getting to numbers that just really don't make sense because they're getting so big.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of data. We've got room to hold a lot of data. And what I love about the blockchain storage model is that it's the difference between that trust and the trustless environment. Nowadays things are moving more onto blockchain, more onto Web3, and I love that. And I think what a lot of people don't quite understand about it is it sets up that trustless environment. I don't need to know the person that I'm one of my clients. I don't need to really know them personally, or I don't need to have worked with them in the past because the blockchain and the algorithms and the technology behind all of these things takes care of all that for me. I don't need to have experience with them because the algorithms and the blockchain and the science behind it, the computer science behind it, is what creates this trustless environment. Things happen automatically. Smart contracts cannot be altered without you seeing proof of their being altered. You can't hide things. You can't change things. You can't do these kind of different operations that you can in traditional Web 2, you can get away with things like that. It's much more secure environment, much more secure for not only money, but for any kind of transaction. Identities, data storage, all of those things can be done on the blockchain, and it's easier, faster, cheaper, and much more secure.
So I'm going to
Where
interrupt you for a second. You have
absolutely,
given a lot of great information. You know that my background's law, but also as a teacher. And I also know that there are many who are listening who you have just shared a lot of vocabulary that they might not be aware of. So we're going to break it down because
yes,
I think also from the perspective of how Power Meta got started, I do want to know, why did you think that this type of company was needed? And then second, I see something on here that is very, I'll call it trendy, AI. So how were you in this space before AI? And did you add AI as part of this? So let's kind of unwrap a little bit because I think that there's a lot of great information here. And because I want to make sure that whoever's listening understands, let's kind of break it apart.
yeah, absolutely. So I guess were we in the space before AI, and did AI kind of was AI kind of in our mindset when we started the company? I would say AI was probably around before we started Power Meta. It was the consideration in the beginning, absolutely, but we have moved much more into that focus in the last, I would say, 6 to 9 months. Initially, we started off the company because we needed data holders, those that are creating data and storing data and have data that need to be secured, needed an alternative to Web 2 traditional cloud storage. It was becoming a beast of burden to most because of the control they were losing by storing their data with these larger data storage companies, Google and Amazon and some of the other bigger ones. They were getting too much control over the data. And a lot of people didn't quite understand and until it was too late, that okay, if I store 100 gigabytes with a traditional storage service, I'm paying maybe $2 to $3 per gig per month, which isn't a lot, and can add up quickly when you're talking about large data sets. But it really wasn't breaking the bank for anybody. But what they weren't realizing is those companies, because they were the gatekeeper, it was up to them when you could retrieve your data, what could be done with the data once they had control of it. There was leakage from hacks and different kind of things, transferring of data causing leakage. And so all those little things added up into we need a better way. We need a better product to offer people. And that's where blockchain storage kind of came about.
So
Filecoin started this.
how did the AI end up in here for an AI cloud? How did that happen?
Yeah.
And
Well,
how is AI integrated?
we are integrating into the AI space because um, generally AI products and AI services, AI businesses, they need two things to survive and grow. They need computing power and they need data storage.
Right.
Those are the two things that they eat. So it was a natural transition for us to start to get into that AI space more because we have the data storage capabilities for them. And we have now the GPU units, the actual products that they need. We can either rent our services out to them if they need it for a short term to speed up their computing process to get through some of those large language models that they're working with, or crunching even more of the data they need to
Yeah.
crunch to be. We all know first to market generally is the first one, to the top. So anything we can do to provide to help them to speed up their processes and make it faster for them, the better. And then we also now have amassed enough GPU units that we also have them for sale as well. We work primarily with the A6 models, A100s, H100s GPUs, which can be used for a lot of different purposes. And
Yes,
so
I
it
was going
kind
to
of
say
naturally came
some of
about.
those models are used for the cryptocurrency side, the Bitcoin side, correct?
Exactly, also can be used for the mining. So everything kind of, once we step back and kind of look at it from a higher level, it was a very easy kind of no-brainer to kind of pivot for us to start to get into more of the AI space because we just naturally ended up having the things that they needed that we could use to help them accelerate their programs. And then once
Where
we kind of got
is
into that
your
space,
cloud based? I mean, from an energy perspective, where are you located?
we have an IDC, our US IDCs in Portland, Oregon. And we have four others throughout, or 10 others throughout the world in four different countries, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Luxembourg. And so those IDCs we provide those IDCs, either clients can come in with their own cryptocurrency mining uh, rigs, what we call them, and they can plug their machines into our IDCs. And then we help them with the infrastructure side of it, with the utilities and the maintenance and the upkeep. And we share the rewards of their mining. If someone wants to get into mining cryptocurrency and they don't have any of the equipment, because it is a large overhead cost initially to start mining, that's okay because we have machines as well in our IDCs that are just waiting to have someone to start mining with them.
So
So
you
they can
have
come
to
to us
be
with nothing.
an accredited investor in order to participate in the mining side, or how does that work?
No, we have multiple products that we put out to the public. We want to get it in front of as many people as possible and allow anyone to get into passive income cryptocurrency mining. So we have products that you can come in with literally dollars and get started and get involved in the mining. And we also have products that are available only for institutional accredited investors that are looking to put large sums into the mining as well. We are not a securities company. We're not a brokerage or any kind of exchange. We are the service provider. So we partner with others that are in the SEC database that have the proper licensing and have the proper backgrounds to do those things. We simply provide the mining service for them and their clients. We recently partnered with AMG Family Trust here in California so that we could bring one of the first Filecoin mining trusts to the public. So now their accredited investors and their clients can get into the mining operation on the large levels that they want to get involved in We simply provide the mining for them and then get the rewards over to them as part of their investment.
So, explain to those who might not understand what Filecoin is or what that whole area is, because again, we have a lot of people who are just learning the terminology.
Absolutely. And it's, yeah, I think I'm learning enough of the terminology, and then tomorrow I'll hear something that I have no idea what it is.
Exactly right.
It's
Yeah.
ever evolving, that's for sure. As much as I've learned in the last year or so, there's still an immense amount of knowledge that I don't have that I need to learn as well. For Filecoin it's a blockchain protocol established specifically for data storage. They also have instigated what we call the IPFS, the Interplanetary Filing System. So right now, we're all familiar with websites, www.bli.com. That would be a website using
That's okay.
traditional. Oh, sorry, what was that?
It's www.bli.tools, but that's okay.
Oh, I always forget the tools. I'm sorry. That tools. There you go. There's your BLI plug for you. But that's a traditional internet kind of setup, a
Yeah.
traditional website setup. So that works as a way of cataloging information so that it can be found. But that's a pathway system. You have to go A to B to C to get to B. And what the IPFS allows us to do is it's a descriptor, or it's a location service. So if I want to get data from somewhere, I don't have to go through a gatekeeper. I don't have to go through a third-party intermediary. I store my data on the Filecoin blockchain. It gets broken up into different blocks, reconstituted onto the blockchain, and now it's stored across as many different nodes or as many different servers as I choose to have it stored. So I could have 5 copies in redundancy stored in 5 different locations. Any one of those locations gets hacked or altered or in some way corrupted, it just gets cut away, and the rest of the copies are still good. I didn't lose anything. Nothing was stolen, nothing was taken.
How expensive is using this type of storage versus some of the traditional, not that you're not traditional, but the traditional models that people might know about?
We are running around 95 to 98% cheaper than
Wow,
your traditional storage.
wow.
It really is a huge difference. That was what really caught my eye in the beginning, was the immediate cost savings for customers that want to store data. You're looking at anywhere from 250 to $2.50 to $3, maybe a little over, per gig per node. We're down to around 60 to 80 cents comparatively. Because it comes from the stores, the ones that are storing the data for you on the actual blockchain on these different nodes, they're being paid and incentivized to store the data correctly through the blockchain following the smart contracts. They're being paid rewards in the form of Filecoin cryptocurrency to
Yeah.
do their job, basically. So that inherently that makes them want to do it correctly because they want to earn more money. Anytime anything is corrupted, that's money that they're losing, or any data that's lost, that's money they're losing. So that's their incentive to provide proper storage. The actual blockchain, the base of the blockchain, is based on those that are familiar with Bitcoin are familiar with proof of work. You know, Ethereum, you have proof of stake. Most are kind of familiar with those terms. Filecoin uses proof of replication and proof of space time. So
Interesting.
proof of replication is immediately you get a report back from whoever's storing your data. I have a data set that I need stored. I give it to a data storage provider. They give me a proof of replication that shows the data is completely intact. It is properly stored. It is copied correctly. There's no problems. Then periodically throughout the storage time frame that I have set up, a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever my smart contract is, I continuously get proof of space time. And it's another reassurance showing me that the data is still secure, it's still in this location, it still is uncorrupted, everything is going smoothly. So as long as we're getting those 2 reports back with no problems, the blockchain is working efficiently and there's no issues. If at
So,
any time something does get corrupted, it's an immediate report that comes out. It's a transaction line you can see visibly on the open public ledger, and we know there's a problem and we can take care of it immediately.
So for someone that's interested in using Power Meta or transferring their information from one provider to another provider, how do you help them with that? Because obviously it's like using a new CRM. You have to figure out, okay, how do you take all the information that you created in one CRM into another? So I know you probably have some great support staff, but how does that work?
The actual technical, the ones
Well,
and
I mean,
zeros code side of it is
is
way,
it
way above me. But on a very simple salesman,
simple, 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 simple?
just us talking to each other kind of way. We actually have our engineers are amazing, and they have set up multiple API interfaces, and so it's as easy, almost as easy as a copy paste, and just
Wow,
drop it in.
nice.
They've set up those API compatibilities with Google, Amazon, and a couple of other the bigger, more traditional Web2 storage providers. So it really is almost as simple as just a simple drop and drag or drag and drop kind of situation. It's obviously any engineers listening to this will be rolling their eyes because it's slightly more complicated than that. But for you and I, it's about that simple. And those that aren't able to do that simple copy paste and move the data over, that's why we have our engineering backend. We've got front end engineers here in California, where we're headquartered in Irvine, and we have our back end engineering team in Singapore. And between the two of those, within a 24-hour period, they can handle anything that I've been able to throw at them, which has been quite a bit, and take it in stride. And we haven't had any hiccups or problems.
That sounds great. So I'm looking at the website. I see GPU node provider, storage node provider, AI cloud. What's the difference?
Well, your GPU, those are your compute, that's your computing power.
Mhm.
We use a couple of different ASIC models for our GPUs that we have in-house. We can also house other GPUs that need to be brought in to plug into our data centers to use our power and maintenance and resources. Um, the storage node providers, that's your traditional cloud storage. And then your AI cloud is where we kind of combine the two to get the storage and the computing power of whatever the particular project needs. Inside of the storage node provider, we also have our mining services. And again, that can be if you have a rig and you're currently mining and you want to switch to Filecoin, but it's just becoming too expensive overhead wise, you can plug your equipment into our data centers and we share those rewards. If you have no equipment, you just want to get involved in cryptocurrency mining, we can help you out with that as well. You can use our equipment and our services. Again, we just share the rewards with you. We cover all the utility costs. And for those larger operations that want to purchase mining rigs, they can purchase those rigs from us, plug them into our systems, and go from there. Or they can purchase the system from us and take it wherever they want to and start their mining service. So we've really tried to provide a way for anyone at any level of any ability, any knowledge base to get involved into mining operations to get that passive income that they're looking for and kind of increase their own knowledge in blockchain and Web3. For those that are still skeptical about cryptocurrency and blockchain, because they either don't know enough about it or they've read too much about it and from different sources. As we all know, there's plenty of FUD and things out there that you never really know what's quite accurate, what's quite not, who to trust, who to listen to. We also offer what we call power up mining, which is allowing people to get involved in the mining operation by becoming an infrastructure partner with us, helping us cover the cost of electricity, the cost of maintenance of our IDCs. And in doing so, they then earn Filecoin as reward for helping us out. So they're able to get involved in cryptocurrency without being in a place where they have to put their money in front of it and worry too much about the speculation of the market and such like that.
So I see a training button on the bottom along with compute, storage, and cloud. What would people find there if they were to go to any of those tabs?
We've recently started our own webinar series.
Great.
Um, I've seen how popular you have become, and so we're trying to jump on your coattails, if you will. So we recently started a webinar series, and so we do weekly webinars in the evenings that are free. You can join in person in our
Nice.
Irvine office, or they can join virtually from anywhere in the world. We run them through Eventbrite, and that's our internal team, our project manager, Dalen, and our inside front end engineers are with him as well. And it's basically 45 to an hour long class, and it's covering everything about blockchain and cryptocurrency.
That's great.
Each class kind of teaches you a little bit more about the industry, um, not specifically just Power Meta products, not specifically Filecoin. I think his last webinar they did was about Bitcoin, and then also different kind of market trends and what to look at when you're thinking about investing in cryptocurrency, and how to do your research, how to look at the market. Because as much as cryptocurrency is a market, obviously, and financial kind of tool, uh, a lot of the traditional kind of ways of looking at investments and looking at the way things move in the market, sometimes those things don't apply to cryptocurrency. Because it is a little bit bigger swings, there is a little more speculation in certain things. And it's because it's so early. I mean, a lot of people look at things like Bitcoin at 50,000 and they think, well, how can I ever get involved in that? I missed the boat kind of thing. If you think about it, the stock market's been around getting close to, it's over 100 years now, something
Yeah,
like that. Uh, Cryptocurrency and blockchain has been around for about a dozen years. So we are still very early in a lot of these projects and a lot of these what are these things that are going to come about from blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Web3. We're just in the very adolescent years of these things. So there's still plenty of time for people to get involved in this. There's still plenty of resources to find research and kind of do your due diligence and figure out what projects you want to get involved with, and what currencies you want to get involved with. And but what's nice is it's becoming much more, I feel like it is at least becoming much more mainstream.
it is.
There are definitely more conversations about blockchain, cryptocurrency, Web3 than there were 6 months ago, than there were 2 years ago, and so on and so forth. And that's great because that's what you need. I mean, I learned from immersion. That's kind of how I gather the most information. I do like to read when I get a chance, when I can stay awake long enough to read. Sleeping pills or a book, both of those things usually work effectively for me. Um, but I have a thirst for knowledge still. As much as I don't read as much as I should, I do still have a constant thirst for knowledge. So it's nice to be able to find things like Crypto Mom and the Blockchain Legal Institute, where you can get these small pieces of information that are easily digestible and learn something at the same time. And you can put all these pieces together, and now you have a better outlook and a better way of seeing what's going on in the industry. It's there's no shortness of experts in blockchain and cryptocurrency and Web3. So you do have to kind of look into the research before you read the research and make sure you're reading something good, and not some kind of made up thing from someone. But it's nice to see more and more of this coming out, and more knowledge being passed. I love how open almost everyone is in this industry, wanting to have conversations with each other, wanting to talk to people about it, wanting to educate people, because no one wants FTX, no one wants those problems and those scams. You don't want that in any industry, let alone something that it also harms the middle class and everyone else around you. So those that are actually in the industry doing the right things, we hate that stuff as well. We don't want to see that either. There's definitely more ethical happenings and more ethical things going on in the industry now than there were previously. Unfortunately, it takes some of those bigger problems to kind of sort out some of those things. But that's the flip side of the good part of it is it's kind of one of those things that has to happen to kind of shake loose some of those nefarious things that are going on, and get the normal thought process out of, oh, cryptocurrency is a scam, it's a black market, it's Web3 and blockchain is for criminals, and it's just for laundering money. And yes, those things are happening, absolutely, but it's such a small percentage of what is actually going on with it. We're also allowing individuals by using blockchain technology to have identities and be able to track identities so that they can move across different borders of different countries as refugees. and still get the benefits and the all the different medical assistance that they need and financial assistance they need that are tied to you have to be able to prove who you are. And if I just left my village because it was being raided or because of some natural disaster and I didn't happen to grab my passport, or I don't have one, I never have had one in my entire life, how do we track those individuals? How do we make sure that the humanitarian assistance that is needed in those areas is getting to the right people through the right channels? Blockchain is solving a lot of those issues. And that's just one part of what blockchain does. It's not just financing cryptocurrency. It's in every industry, the tracking logistics, tracking aviation, all kinds of different things. And I think that's what is now becoming more apparent to people is that it's not just Bitcoin. There are so many things going on besides Bitcoin. Bitcoin is great; it's amazing, but there are so many other projects that are going on in blockchain, and so many other great things that are happening because of this technology and what we're capable of doing with this technology and smart contracts. Just the fact that I don't have to check. I don't have to look and make sure something's happening. There's no supervision needed on something. Once I have my smart contract dialed in and it's written in the way that I want it to be written, it executes automatically every single time. Um, that is just amazing. Not being a computer person, that it just amazes me that that how far we've come, as far as technology wise goes, and then we're just scratching the surface. And not just now getting into AI in these last few years, as much as the thought of the technology and kind of the beginning of AI has been around for years and even decades. Now we're getting into real use cases where we can actually see the results and see what's actually capable with using this technology and how many great things need to come. That motivates me since I have little ones. I've got a 2, a 6, and a 15-year-old, and what things are going to be around when my 2-year-old is in his 30s. What is the world going to look like at that point? What kind of interactions are we going to have as far as financial interactions, cross-border payments, things like that? That stuff just amazes me and fascinates me, and I look forward to seeing what's all coming down.
So let me ask you a question since you mentioned you have a teenager. And you know that I'm in the education space. I'm very interested in knowing, like within your company, for those that are looking at these as careers, what kind of skill set would someone maybe, we've talked about the clients that you serve, but what about people who are, whether they're high school students or college students looking at stepping into this field? Who do you normally look at trying to hire, and what kind of skill sets does your company, have you looked at in the past? Not to say that you're hiring now, but if someone was to try to get into this space and profession, what do you recommend that they kind of look at?
I think it's as much as it's different from more of a traditional kind of industry, there are a lot of similarities. So those that are looking to get into the IT side of it, the actual engineering side of it, the coding side of it, they're still going to want to start off at least on that traditional kind of IT path in school, get their coding knowledge down, get their different kind of contractuals or contractual knowledge down, and then at some point, they can branch off and get into more of the blockchain protocol technology. Um, that's something else that is also been just growing exponentially. If you think about 10 years ago, how many blockchain smart contract classes could you take at a college or university? I would venture to say there were very few. And it's becoming more and more common to have those classes starting to appear in more universities and more colleges throughout the world. Definitely more countries that are ahead of others, but everyone is, coming up kind of together. I would say if it comes to the operations, business kind of sales side of it, always need that base of just understanding of how business works. Your business degree is still going to do you justice in blockchain. You'll just need to then do your own kind of research and education and get yourself a good mentor, take as many courses as you can to learn the technical side of it. That's kind of that's my cross to bear, if you will, is always learning more about the technical side of it.
Yeah.
Just when you think you understand, you know, that part of it, someone will have a question or throw out a what if kind of situation to you, and it really reminds you that you don't know as much as you think you know about it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's true. I think that, again, being in the education space, having young adults look at this from a career perspective is really important because, again, it's the next generation that is going to help with the innovation that we've already seen happen. I know that you and I had talked about, for those that are listening, we're going to be doing an add-on, which is going to be talking about some of the legal issues that companies have in this space. Not that I'm not talking about lawsuits. What I'm talking about is just the idea that businesses now are global. And so what you just mentioned, all these different countries. And so that means then that you as an entity had to take into consideration, were you going to incorporate? How are you doing business in those countries? What kind of team are you going to have? What are the legal ramifications? What are the accounting ramifications? The cross communication. So the extension of this interview is going to be another continuing education class, which was going to cover a lot of different topics. So for those that are listening and are interested, I know that the training that you mentioned is phenomenal on your platform, but for those that are listening that are interested in continuing legal education, reach out and let me know which state you're in, so that way we can make sure we register the class that we're going to be doing, so that way you can get your continuing legal education credits, because blockchain legal wants to make sure that you have knowledge about this and others new and also in the profession can grow, because as James has said, this is an evolving space and so much is happening daily, both locally here in the States as well as overseas. I mean, talking about AI, and I, being an educator, I get a lot of emails on my school email. And I recently got, and I'm also nationally board certified. So it was on the national board certified email that I saw that Tennessee actually is looking at passing a law where the school system is actually going to have to create an AI policy, every school and every district. And, immediately, internally red flags went up, thinking, how are these schools going to know what information to put into their policy? What are they going to model it after? And do they understand the implications of some of the restrictions that they might put in place or not put in place? So, again, there are probably a lot of good models that can be used in the education space. But, the fastness is they're supposed to be, if this gets passed, they're going to be putting it in place in July. That's just a few months away. So, a lot of these policies sometimes take years to figure out the ins and outs. You look at the EU, it took them a while to hammer out their policies. So the idea
yeah.
that we're asking the school systems to decide in just a matter of a few months, it's like, it blows my mind.
Well, I'm sure in 3 to 4 years we'll be on version 4.3 or version 7.1. That's just how things go. It's one of those things, just like with regulation in the crypto space. On a state level, on a national level, a federal level, you want to have. There needs to be regulation. There needs to be rules. I mean, things work better when there are rules. But if it's new technology, if it's a new circumstance, if it's a new way of understanding something, you know, how do you put a regulation in place if the people that are making those regulations don't fully understand what they're regulating? That happens as well. Also,
Yep, very much
you
so.
want to get these things in place as quickly as possible to safeguard, your communities, especially when we're talking about education of our youngsters and children. We want to protect them from everything we can protect them from. But at the same time, I also don't want to regulate something or kind of confine something so tightly that I kind of squash that fire and I kind of put out that flame, and then they want to progress and grow and learn about the space. So it's a very fine line, government, political parts, regulation. I am never interested in being a part of that. I don't want to be the one making the policy, that's for sure. Or the
I,
one signing my name on it. I'll
yeah,
be a consultant. They can ask me questions. That's fine, no problem. But I don't ever want to be the one in the crosshairs on CNN trying to figure out and defend why a regulation is put in place or a lack of a regulation is causing problems. That's my hat's off to them. That's a very difficult job.
it
Not
is.
only in the education space, it's just in general. Regulation, the one making the rules is generally not a very popular person, but it is an absolute necessity, for us in these kind of spaces. That's how we prevent more fraud. That's how we prevent these scams. That's how we safeguard and protect not only our children, but our populace as a whole. So it's definitely tricky, and it's especially tricky when it comes to things like this because it evolves so quickly.
Yep.
I mean, 6 months is a long time in the Web3 space.
Yeah, it
A
is.
lot of things can change in 6 months.
Definitely.
And that's not just, I mean, just randomly, something will pop up. Ethereum has a new ERC token coming out, or some kind of upgrade, or a patch, or a fork, then there's, okay, what's a fork? Well, there's a hard fork and there's a soft fork. I'm like, oh, okay, now I have to research that. And by the time I'm done researching that and getting my head wrapped around that, there's something else that came out that I have to look up. It's so much information, and I feel like it's so specific and it's so technical that it's difficult for most people to understand unless they have some kind of technical background. So it takes that much longer to understand it and kind of digest it, and then as soon as you get it, it's changed. Just like your laptop. You buy your laptop and next year it's completely obsolete. I feel like Web3 moves even faster than that, especially now in these early years. AI is just growing upon itself, compounding daily. I can't imagine where we're going to be in 5 years or 10 years or 25 years. It's mind blowing what we're capable of as humans when it comes to technology like this.
Well, I appreciate your being, I agree with you, and I appreciate your being on Blockchain Legal Institute's talk show. Any last minute thoughts that you would like to share? And for everyone who's listening, I will have James's contact information and the website, so that way, if you have questions, you can reach directly out, especially, if you want to take the trainings. Or if you want to learn more about, any of the storage or the services that, are being offered, or if you just have questions in general. But any last minute thoughts that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for anybody at any level of experience or knowledge when it comes to this stuff, regardless of if you think you're the smartest man in the room or you're just walking in, you have no clue, do your research. You really have to do your research. It's not something that you can just kind of spitball against the wall. If you do that, you get yourself in trouble really easy. Not just money wise, but just technology and all the things that are happening. So it's really important to, find good sources, find trusted sources to get information from, compare that against multiple other sources to really get a good idea of what's going on and what you're doing. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of people don't know about it, or kind of don't get involved in it, or still kind of hesitant about crypto or blockchain or Web3, because they don't know where to go to look. And if they do, they're kind of scared to ask questions. I mean, I haven't met anyone involved in any project in Web3, crypto, or blockchain that doesn't love talking about it. So if you give them a chance, ask questions, they will be happy to answer your questions, from a broad overview all the way down to the finest detail. It's really a great industry. I found that it's very open communication amongst ourselves as well. No one is really kind of keeping everything tight to the chest, as much as people think they are. It's a great place to work in. I love the industry, and I love all the things that are coming out. And I look forward to the next 10, 15, 20 years, as long as I'm around to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I especially agree with you about doing your research. That's one of the reasons why Blockchain Legal Institute was created. So it's a centralized library for a lot of the decentralized resources. And, again, you have to have multiple sources. So, that's what we're looking for on BLI so just to give you, a diverse look at what is possible for you to just make your decisions. So again, thank you so much for being on. Everyone, as I always say at the end of all my shows, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're so interconnected and now even more than ever. So everyone, thank you so much and have a great day and stay tuned for the next member Byte. Thank you. Bye-bye.